Hi there. Have you ever stopped to think, what is your consciousness? What is your consciousness really? It's a big question. There's not often a lot of space in the day-to-day busyness of life to contemplate what is this being that lives behind these eyes, or where does it live? We assume it lives behind. We assume it lives in our head because we see out of our eyes. What is consciousness? What is it actually? Is it energy? I'm not going to answer this question here, by the way. I'm just posing questions because these are things that I think about. And maybe it's something interesting for you to think about. It's literally why the practice of stillness is the most powerful path to awakening, because when we're still, well, first of all, most of us spend our entire lives distracting ourselves from being really, truly still with ourselves. We find anything, myself included, I'll just tell you, we find anything we can do to distract ourselves from really being, from being, from just being. The craziest thing is the answer to everything. It's put in the most obvious place, but it's the place that no one will look. I don't want to say no one, but it's the place that most people don't look, because it's inside. It's inside. We think there's something out there that we're going to find. Trust me, I've done it. I've lived in a million countries for 13 years. And it's been beautiful. Like, I've had incredible experiences as a nomad. This has been my chosen lifestyle. And it's served me. It served me in the ways that it's needed to serve me. But, there was always a part of me that thought, or that reached a point after a certain amount of time in each place where I felt like, okay, once I get to the next place, then I'm going to find what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to feel better. I'm going to come back to my best way of being again, because I'm going to change the outside world. I'm going to put myself in a different place. I'm going to get on an airplane, fly here, fly there, everywhere. Or it's going to be like this next training, or this next job, or this next program that I launch, or this next community. And it was always a little bit there in my mind. I'm not saying that was the main driver, but always this thought that, when something on the outside changes, it's exciting too. It's like, then we're in a new place, it's something new to figure out. It's a new project. The mind likes to have projects. The mind likes something to chew on. It likes to be busy. It likes to problem solve. It likes to have issues to deal with. It likes to have drama. If there's no drama, it's bored. And it's, I need to do something about that. Yeah. The mind is actually keeping us from knowing our full consciousness. I don't think it's doing it on purpose. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just the way the mind is designed. It's just minds are built to be busy and to have problems to chew on. This is why when we meditate, we have to give the mind something to focus on. The breath, or point between your eyes, or the light, or a mantra, or something. Even then, the mind likes to it's like going off doing its own thing. But actually, when we come into actual stillness, and if we give the mind something to do while we can come back into stillness, even just think about what I just said there. And I don't think this is an unnatural way to speak. Like, we speak about our mind being our mind. We don't don't usually say, I am my mind. But when we're in our day-to-day, we act like we are, right? We act like we are our mind. Our mind is our boss, or it's like we believe everything our mind says. But in reality, we know you can give your mind something to focus on. My mind is obsessed with this little bang that's not doing what it needs to do. That's ridiculous. We're just gonna be messy. That's okay. Like, we know we can give our mind something to focus on, and there's still something else that's there, right? Like, let's say you're sitting and you're told to just focus on your breath. Like, your mind, just watch the breath in, watch the breath out, watch the breath in, watch the breath out. The mind is doing that, and you bring the mind back. The mind wants to wander, you bring it back to the breath. Isn't there something else that's also watching things happen? There is. There's something else there. But this is the part of us that we don't usually tap into in our day-to-day life because we're always so busy, and our mind is the boss of being busy. So that's when we're like identified with our mind. Well, there's something deeper, like this consciousness thing. Like, actually the thing that is beating our heart, that is pumping our blood, the thing that miraculously became a tiny little baby in your mother. That's now this big body. How did that happen? You might think it's science, it's biology, but actually it's consciousness. Consciousness. Now you might say, well, consciousness, it's like our mind, it's what we think. How could consciousness be that tiny little egg, the tiny little baby that came from the egg and the sperm came together and they make the little baby that grows into a body? But that is consciousness. See, that's consciousness, and consciousness doesn't have the same voice. It doesn't have a voice the way your mind does. It's just energy, right? It's that life energy, and that's what you are, actually. That's what we all are. So I think there's this interesting dance between which one we're really listening to, like our mind versus our deeper source, the source of our life. Because it's not our mind. Our mind didn't create our life. Our mind was developed later. You know that. And the thing that gave you life, it's a lot wiser than your mind. And just bring that in more. I guess that's the point of this video. I'm doing the same thing. Journey, let me tell you. We gotta trust that, because the mind is what's always gonna go back and forth and hold us back and keep us blocked and not make decisions or make the wrong decisions and then regret it and then kick ourselves and judgment, and that's mind. That's mind. The deeper part, the consciousness, your life force, your spirit, your soul, call it what you want. Yeah, that's a real guide. Like, it won't. I don't know, what's the pronoun for consciousness? Generally won't lead you astray. It's like your freaking golden arrow. Alright, I'm gonna wrap this up. Alright. Thanks for listening.